Welcome. The HIPSTERS Diaries, audio podcast. To transform a heart is to save a life. Let me introduce you to your soul. Come reason with me.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to HIPSTERS Diaries. You're here with Poetic Mi. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. And if you've been here since the beginning, welcome back. We are currently on chapter 4 of an 8-part journey called the Becoming series. 8 Sundays, 8 conversations, and 8 opportunities to understand ourselves a little deeper. In chapter 1, we explored identity. In chapter 2, we explored love and attachment. In chapter 3, we explored trauma and survival mode. But tonight, we go back even further. Tonight, we explore family, the people who raised us, the environments that shaped us, the beliefs we inherited, the lessons we never asked for. Tonight, we explore roots that we didn't choose but grew from anyway. So tonight, let's reason. I think one of the most interesting things about adulthood is realizing how much of yourself was shaped before you even knew who you were. The way you communicate, the way you handle conflict, the way you give love, the way you receive love, the way you view success, the way you view yourself. So much of it starts before we're even aware it's happening. And eventually, many of us reach a point where we begin to ask ourselves difficult questions. How much of me is actually me? And how much of me was inherited? What beliefs belong to me? What beliefs have simply been passed down? Because every family passes down something. Values, traditions, beliefs, fears, survival strategies. Some things we keep, some things we heal, some things end with us. When I think about my childhood home, 2 words come to mind: love and confusion. Not because I wasn't loved. I tell you guys all the time, I absolutely was. My parents loved me, they sacrificed for me, they protected me, they provided for me. But growing up, there were things I didn't understand, things that wouldn't make sense until much later. And I think that's true for a lot of us. As children, we don't always understand the environment we grow up in. We simply adapt to it. We learn the rules, we learn what's acceptable, we learn what gets rewarded, we learn what gets punished, and eventually those lessons become a part of us, whether we realize it or not. Now, if you grew up in a Haitian household, well, honestly, many immigrant households, you already know some rules never had to be spoken. Respect your elders. Education matters. Don't question adults. Family business stays inside the house. Handle your emotions privately. Work hard. Be grateful. Don't embarrass the family. Nobody sat me down to explain these rules. I just learned them because culture teaches long before words do. And while many of those lessons were valuable, they also came with limitations. Because sometimes when survival is the priority, emotional wellness becomes secondary. And that's something I wouldn't understand until adulthood. One thing psychologists talk about is something called intergenerational patterns. The idea that beliefs, behaviors, fears, and survival strategies can be passed from one generation to the next. Not because our parents wanted to harm us, but because they gave us what they had. The lessons that helped them survive. The beliefs that protected them, the strategies that got them through difficult seasons. And when I look back now, I don't see bad people. I see people doing their best with the tools that they had available. But healing has taught me something important. Not everything that is inherited has to be carried forever. Let that breathe. As I've gotten older, I've learned how to separate the wound from wisdom. Because when we're younger, it's easier to focus on what hurts. What's harder is recognizing what was given to us. When I think about my mother, there are many things that I'm grateful for, but 2 stands out the most to me: kindness and generosity. My mother would give her last if she felt someone needed it. She taught me how to care. She taught me how to give. She taught me how to show up, and those lessons became a part of who I am, even today. But healing has also taught me something else. Sometimes our greatest strengths can be some of our greatest struggles. Because generosity without boundaries become overextending. Kindness without boundaries becomes self-neglect. For a long time, I thought loving people meant pouring until I was empty, giving until I had nothing left, showing up for everyone while quietly abandoning myself. But healing taught me something my younger self didn't know. I can love people without losing myself. I can be generous without overextending. I can care deeply and still choose me. My father taught me something different. Everything comes at a price, not just money, everything. Success has a price, peace has a price, growth has a price, relationships have a price, purpose has a price. And if you want something, you have to position yourself to afford it. I didn't fully understand that lesson when I was younger, but adulthood has a way of teaching you. Because every lesson asks something from you. Every opportunity costs something. Every level of growth requires sacrifice. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that everything you're asking God for requires a version of you that's prepared to receive it. That's a lesson I carry with me every day. Psychologists often talk about something called family systems theory. The idea that every family develops roles: the caretaker, the responsible one, the achiever, the peacemaker, the rebel, the one who keeps everything together. And sometimes we spend adulthood trying to figure out whether those roles are who we are, or simply just who we had to be. Because families are ecosystems, everyone adapts, everyone finds a role, everyone learns how to function inside the system, and eventually those roles begin to feel like identity. But one of the most powerful parts of healing is realizing that you have the right to refine yourself. You don't have to remain the version of yourself that was created to fit somebody else's expectations. You're allowed to evolve. One thing I've noticed, especially in immigrant households, is the survival often takes priority over healing. Not because people don't care, not because people don't love each other, but because survival feels more urgent. Pay the bills, work hard, stay out of trouble, keep moving. While those lessons have value, they sometimes leave very little room for emotional wellness, very little room for reflection, very little room for mental health conversations, very little room for healing. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I care so deeply about mental health awareness today. Because so many people are suffering without language, without understanding, without awareness, not because they're broken, but because nobody ever taught them how to recognize what they were carrying. And if you don't have the language for something, it's difficult to heal it. One of the biggest lessons my upbringing taught me is that healing is necessary. It's not optional, necessary. Because eventually, what goes unaddressed begins showing up elsewhere. I'm talking about in relationships, in stress, in anxiety, in the way we address ourselves, in the way we show up in the world. And healing isn't about blaming our families. It's about understanding them, understanding ourselves, choosing what we carry forward. Because every generation inherits something, but every generation also has the opportunity to heal something. Let that settle in. I think one of the most powerful realizations adulthood gave us is understanding that we have choices. Not about where we came from, not about what happened, not about the family we were born into, but about what we choose to carry forward. And if I'm being honest, there are some things that end with me. One of them is overextending myself. For a long time, I believed love meant sacrificing myself, showing up no matter what, giving no matter what, pouring into everyone else's cup even when mine was empty. And while there is beauty in service, there's also wisdom in boundaries. Because eventually I learned something. I deserve the same love that I'm giving away. I deserve the same grace I extend to others. I deserve the same support I offer everyone else. And that realization changed my life. Another cycle that ends with me is maintaining relationships simply because we're related. Now, don't get me wrong. Family matters. Community matters. Relationships, they matter. But connection without respect is not healthy. Connection without accountability is not healthy. Connection without boundaries is not healthy. And one of the greatest lessons adulthood taught me is that boundaries aren't rejection. Boundaries are clarity. Boundaries are self-respect. Boundaries are stewardship. And some of the healthiest decisions I've made came from learning where I end and where something else begins. The truth is, none of us chose our roots. We don't choose our family. We don't choose our culture. We don't choose the environment we enter. We don't choose the beliefs we're handed as children. But eventually, we become responsible for what we do with them. And I think that's where healing begins. Not when blame begins, not when shame begins, but when we become aware. When we start asking questions. What belongs to me? What was inherited? What aligns with who I'm becoming? What needs to be released? Because healing isn't rejecting where you came from. It's understanding it. It's honoring what helped you grow while releasing what no longer serves you. And I think that's one of the most loving things a person can do. As I've gotten older, I realized something beautiful. God doesn't ask us to hate our roots. He asks us to understand them. Because every part of our story carries wisdom. Even the confusing parts, even the painful parts, even the lessons we wish we had been taught differently. I don't look back at my upbringing with resentment. I look back with understanding. Because my parents were human. My family was human. And like all human beings, they were navigating life with the tools that they had. Somehow through it all, God still found a way to grow something beautiful. And that gives me peace. Because it reminds me that healing isn't about having a perfect story. It's about finding meaning in the story that you have. If I had to summarize my upbringing in one sentence, it would be this. My upbringing taught me that healing is necessary. Not because my family failed me. Not because my culture failed me. Not because the people who loved me were bad people. But because every generation carries something. Every generation deserves healing. The more I learn about mental health, the more I realize how many people were struggling without even knowing it. Not because they were weak, not because they were broken, but because awareness was never part of the conversation. That's why conversations like this matter, because awareness creates language, language creates understanding, and understanding creates healing. That's a full circle moment. To the younger me, the girl who was trying to make sense of everything, the girl who loved deeply, the girl who was confused sometimes, the girl who was learning life one lesson at a time. I want you to know something. You don't have to carry everything you inherited. You're allowed to choose differently. You're allowed to create boundaries. You're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to honor your dreams. You're allowed to pour into yourself. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. Resting isn't selfish. Growing isn't selfish. Healing isn't selfish. And one day, you'll understand that loving yourself isn't taking away from anyone else. It's finally making room for you too. Maybe family isn't just about what we inherited. Maybe it's also about what we transformed. The wisdom we keep, the lessons we pass down, the cycles we break, the healing we chose. Because every generation has an opportunity to leave something better behind. And maybe that's what becoming is really about. Not becoming someone new, but becoming more intentional, becoming more aware, more healed, more yourself. Ja Rastafari family, thank you for reasoning with me. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for choosing awareness over autopilot. This is HIPSTERS Diaries, where truth finds a soft space to land. Ja guide, Ja bless, Ja Rastafari.
Thank you for reasoning with me. Remember, to transform a heart is to save a life. Until next time, continue the journey inward. Love, peace, unity, and blessings. Jah Rastafari.